'Cause yeah, sometimes we'll feel alone. In a second, I'll be right there. Turn around, let it rain. Turn around and let it rain on me. Don't you be afraid. Just follow me. You don't need no space. Just follow me. Like a mirror, you reflect me. Like a Friday night on the weekend, I feel blessed and free. I just don't want this moment to end. But now you say you gotta go. Baby, why you gotta go? Like a mirror, you reflect me. I just don't want this. I just don't want this moment to end. Jump into that car tonight. I'm not leaving without a fight. Now you're always on my mind. Turn around, hold me tight. Turn around and we will be alright. Don't you be afraid. Just follow me. You don't need no space. Just follow me. Like a mirror, you reflect me. Like a Friday night on the weekend, I feel blessed and free. I just don't want this moment to end. But now you say you gotta go. Baby, why you gotta go? Like a mirror, you reflect me. I just don't want this. I just don't want this moment to end. I just don't want this. I just don't want this moment to end. If you ever feel alone, 'cause yeah, sometimes we'll feel alone. In a second, I'll be right there. Turn around, let it rain. Turn around and let it rain on me. I need new flavor, reason to throw my game, not really why I came.
Oh my God, what's wrong with my voice? Hey there, Hellhounds, it's Hades, and we are live with another live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, we are having a return guest join me, the fabulous Charlie Doll. I'm really excited to jump into this conversation, talk about leather, talk about the leather community, what's going on, and overall, like, our experiences. So without further ado, here is Charlie Doll.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. As Hades said, I'm Charlie Doll. I'm the 2022 Rocky Mountain Person of Leather. I'm also really excited to be on this live stream, so thank you for having me, Hades.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited. It's been the last time we saw each other was back in November for Rocky Mountain Rebellion. You were running for the title of Person of Leather.
I don't remember much of Armor, to be honest.
Like you've got your sash on, I see. Like, is that what it's called? I don't want to use incorrect.
Yeah, no, it's called Sash.
Yes. I mean,
Totally.
like, that was such thank you so much for just having me be a part of that like experience, because that was my first larger leather event in like especially out of state, and it was an amazing experience. So thank you so much. I so
Of course, thanks for
appreciate that.
coming out. I know it was like a
Yeah.
hectic weekend.
Yeah. So for everyone who's watching right now, this is a live Q&A slash discussion panel So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them in the comment box and we'll be able to pull them up, see them, and we'll, get to them as they come. So, but I always like to start off asking, like, what is leather to you? Because everybody seems to have a different definition. And as our community changes and evolves, the definition of what is leather also changes.
So I actually stole my definition from someone. But to me, leather is becoming comfortable with wearing another animal's skin on your body, and the skin is yours.
Oh, the skin is yours. Okay, so being comfortable in one's own skin is ultimately
Absolutely.
the message there. Okay, I see that. So like with that in mind, so what does that mean as far as being a part of the community?
So to me, it's like a set of core values, like the strength in community, being your authentic self, and uh, relating to others living their authentic lives and how you can support each other, and also learning because it's a lifelong journey. You're never going to learn everything about leather, everything about BDSM. You kind of have to be open to accepting new ideas and new concepts all the time.
Right. I got like I I've always wanted to be a part. I feel like now I'm a part of the leather community, but it was something that I admired from afar for the longest time because I didn't own any actual leather. Like I had neoprene pieces when I was first getting involved in kink, and I felt as if I went to maybe a leather event and I wasn't wearing proper formals or any piece of leather that I couldn't be a part of that.
So you felt like the leather in the physical sense was a requirement to take part in these activities.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think you'd be interested to see like how many people have been like in the leather community their whole lives and don't own a single piece of leather. Um, because while the leather is like a part of the history and something that we can use to express ourselves, it's not what makes us leather.
Right. It's so that's the thing that I'm trying to like narrow down and is like what is it specifically that makes one a part of the other community? And I don't think that there's any like like correct answer like, oh, you have to do this thing in order to be a part of the leather community. And that's the beauty of how the leather community has changed because like you said, historically, like you had to own leather had to appear in a certain way or you had to wear it in a certain way, and now that's not the case, and the definition is more loosely defined.
Yeah, I would say really that sense of community and feeling the need to sustain and nurture the community is what would make you leather.
Right.
Because if you're like, oh, like I appreciate leather, but like I don't want to get involved, like I don't want to have my name seen with these people, I don't want to like put money towards this, or oh,
Whoa, I don't know what happened there.
haunted. Um it's what was I saying?
I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
that totally got me distracted.
So the like the willingness to put yourself forward as a person of leather, like claiming these people as your own and you as one of them, because I do feel like it is we are like a very niche community and not everybody understands what we do, and so it does take a fair amount of bravery to like almost come out and be like, hey, yeah, these are my people and I stand for them and with them.
Right, absolutely. So I always think it's interesting, this community that you have to stand for. Like, how did you get started in leather, or what drew you into leather? Oh my
So
god. Okay, hold on one second. I have to fix this. Like something is going on. with my numbers and my hotkeys. Sorry, technical problems. There's always technical problems somewhere. Uh, but yeah, what drew you into leather?
So I was 13 years old and I was watching this crime TV show called Bones. They had an episode in season 3 where it takes place at a pony play ranch. And I remember seeing the pony players and I was like, that, I I want that. And
Wow.
yeah, so I kind of like, fucked around with your friends as you do when you're young and not really in the community yet. And then I reconnected with one of those friends and he was like, "Well, hey, like I know we used to mess around. Do you ever want to see like what the actual BDSM scene is like?" And I was like, yeah, let's do it." So he took me to my first party and I have been just entrenched ever since.
Yeah. That is like early exposure. I feel like I'm a late bloomer. Um, you know, I let's see, what did I think my first I always saw like harnesses in gay porn, and then I ran into like pup porn, and that's what started to, like, my descent into kink and leather and fetish. But leather has been the more recent exploration, and I'll get into more of why that is now a little bit later. But yeah, like it's interesting that how impressionable we are in our youth can gravitate us to certain things that we enjoy later on in life. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
so so you ran for person of leather at
I
Rocky
did.
Mountain Rebellion this past November. What was that
Mhm.
experience like?
Very hectic.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress leading up. It was almost the same type of stress that I felt when I was getting married, and the same thing that you realize as soon as your wedding is over, you realize as soon as your run is over, which is half of the shit you were worrying about doesn't even fucking matter.
Right.
Um, and like obviously there is very important stuff that you do need to remember, but that's more of like the stuff that comes naturally to you, like, like act like a person, be polite, like not I'm out here like, what do I wear? Like, what if like I think you were there when like one of my nails came off, and I'm like, this is
Yep.
it. This is like it's horrible big thing that happened, but it just pales at the very end, and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
focusing on their own stuff.
Yeah. So what is that like? Like, what is the real stuff now? Because you've competed, you won. Like, there were all these different, what I call them, levels, or like the different sections of the contest, and you came out victorious. So like, now what? What do you do with that?
So now education is like my main thing. So I'm trying to get a new education program started here where I live because we don't have anything currently, as well as going to different conventions and learning what other people have to say and to teach, as well as teaching at some of these and sharing like my knowledge on certain subjects.
Very cool. Like, give us an example. What's an area that you would want to explore?
So, my next class I'm teaching is called Kink While Crazy, and it's about my experience as a player living with psychosis and how like that has affected my experience in the BDSM scene.
Wow, that's deep. Okay. Where do you just like, for people that are interested to be a part of, like, where would you do that?
So that's going to be at Thrive, a convention based around mental health and the BDSM scene. They have tons of amazing presenters this year. It's online and it's free, so everyone should definitely go. They've got
Yes.
stuff like how to talk to your autistic submissive, like top top drop, and like experiencing what is it? It'll come to me later. But they've got a lot of stuff for everyone, just amazing classes. So even though I'm teaching there, I'm also just going to be going to all the classes that I possibly can because it's such valuable information.
And this is called Thrive.
Yeah, let me see if I can put that in.
Yeah, send me that link so that I can share it here with the viewers. Anybody who's interested in maybe attending that convention. This is why it's so important to be having conversations with other people in the community. There's always something going on, something for everyone, but we don't know about it unless we are having these types of conversations. So I appreciate that. That would be great. I think about you know how like my mental health, like what my how my mental health is, and how it relates to my expressionism within the community, and how sometimes my mental health prevents me from engaging more, or it throws me into engaging a lot. So yes, Handler Sparky says, "Yeah, Rocky Mountain Person of Leather, Charlie Doll."
Oh, so much.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Oh, and I didn't say this in the beginning of the stream, but if you are watching, please tell me where you're watching from. It's always cool to see where everyone's watching from, because our audience is pretty much international. So say hello, tell us where you're watching from. And a quick side note on we're both wearing some cowboy hats this evening. Like, why are you wearing a cowboy hat this evening?
No, okay, I feel like you were trying to lead me with the question, but the real question is you were asking what kind of hat to wear, and I didn't have any hats other than cowboy hats. So that's why. But then I was like, well, the next convention that I'm going to physically be at is South Plains in 2 weeks, which is held in Dallas. So I was like, why not cowboy it up?
Yes, yes, that's what I'm getting at. Like, you gotta let people know where you're being. I am finding that I am pulling more of this Western look into my leather. And I want to get into this because I want to talk about imposter syndrome and how it correlates to leather. Like, I felt imposter syndrome when I didn't own formals. And now that I am bringing kind of Western gear into my armoire and my my panel of looks, I also feel imposter syndrome there. Like, do you have you ever felt like in within the community like this imposter
Only every
syndrome?
day. Only every fucking day. Um, so like again, like you said, when I was first joining the community, like I didn't really have very many skills as far as topping and bottoming. I didn't have like communication skills. I didn't have like leather. I think I like showed up at my first thing in like my underwear and then took that off. But like yeah, so there is a very much a sense of like wanting to please the community and wanting to be seen and accepted. And I feel like that can almost be a negative push into focusing on the wrong things. Like, um, I did feel like a lot of pressure to dress a certain way. And then as I was starting to discover more about my gender identity, I was like, well, maybe I don't belong with anyone because like I haven't heard of like very many people like me. And like, I don't really fit in with like the crowds that I like associate myself with. And it's always a lifelong journey of like pointing at yourself in the mirror and being like, you do belong here. I mean, like I was up on that stage with this sash, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, what? Like, no, they must have made a mistake. The judges tallied something wrong. Like, not me. Um, or before you teach a class, you're like, well, am I really qualified to like teach this class? Like, what makes my words so important to these people? Why do they want to hear me talk about this thing? And so you kind of have to catch yourself and be like, because you put yourself out there and you did the work, and that's why they want to listen to you. And if they don't like what you have to say, then that's okay too. At least you said your thing.
Right. That's it's important to realize that there's a place for everyone within this community. Even when you feel like there's not. There's so many times where either within the pup community or in the leather community or even in my general overall at home community that I felt so out of place and that I was trying to performatively fit in. Whether that was, oh, as a pup, I'm going to buy a hood so that way I can fit in with the other pups. Or I'm going to buy this expensive leather get up in order to fit in with the other leathermen. Or I'm going to buy this Western gear to fit in with like my cowboy buddies. Like we're all trying to find our place, and sometimes we just need to find our place with ourselves first before we, you know, try to do all the extra bullshit that's out there, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Like so there's obviously there's been some changes, and I want to get into the changes just a little bit. But advice that you would have for somebody who is feeling that way, that's like, oh, I don't have leather, I can't get into this community, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. Like, what advice can you give that person?
Oh,
Oh,
are you there? Can you hear me?
yeah, I see it. I think we're good.
Okay. Um, I would say, first of all, if there's anyone in your life that is like making you feel that way, cut those people out of your life because that's not the type of people that are going to be supporting you through your leather journey. But secondly, like trust yourself. Trust yourself that like you're not going to know everything or be able to do everything right all at once. And I know you really want to. I know there's some bottom out there listening to this. It's like I want to do all the things right now, and I know because I was you. I am that person.
Yeah.
But take your time. Like you just discovered this, and now you have the rest of your life to grow into it and find out what works for you.
We have a howdy from Texas. Aroo. We got Texas in the house. We also have Wisconsin.
Fuck yeah.
Waukesha,
Location,
Wake,
what?
Waukesha.
Midwest? What in the
Midwest.
Midwest?
The Midwest is in the house. They are representing today, and we are representing them. I love it.
So what are we? Are we the
Yeah.
West? The West?
Huh?
Me with the name of my region on my shirt. What
Yes.
region are we? Are
Oh gosh.
Woo!
Um. Yeah. I like getting into it is difficult. There's so many insecurities that we have to champion for ourselves before we allow ourselves the permission to join. And I love how you say, I love how you said like pay attention to the people in your life, because there's certain people that are going to prevent you from pursuing the things that you truly enjoy, and removing those toxic people from your life can be extremely challenging, because oftentimes I think it presents itself in the form of, I'm looking out for you, or I love you, or and I care about you, and I don't want you to get hurt, or I don't want you to make a fool of yourself, or I want what's best for you and this isn't what's best for you. And it's really hard to sometimes identify that these people are preventing you from pursuing things that will truly bring you joy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish my parents were watching this live stream so that they could hear you say that. But um, honestly, and sometimes it's not even toxic people. It's just you do have to make a decision whether you want to pursue this lifestyle or not, because like I said before, it is a big risk. Like, do you want your job to know about this? Like, do you want your family to know about this? And if you have like enough shame to be like, not shame, but if you have enough fear of that, um, that's a very valid reason to not join the community. And people who feel that way should not be shamed for that at all,
Right.
because not everyone can be asked to give up everything they have for one area of their life, because your involvement in the community does vary from person to person. Like there's some people that are like, this is my life, this is all I do. And there's some people that are like, hey, like I like to put on some kinky stuff on the weekend. And they're equally valid, both of those people.
Exactly. You have to gauge the waters. Um I remember when I got my first leather harness, and I wore it. I lived in the mountains at the time, and I wore it underneath like a t-shirt and a hoodie, and I went out and I felt so powerful, but at the same time I was fearful of being discovered by people, and I only shared the knowledge with certain people that, like, oh, I had bought in this thing, and they had questions like well, why are you wearing that, and what's the purpose, and um is it like a kink thing? And it's like, yeah, it's a kink thing, like totally, for sure. But like, you sometimes have to ease yourself in, pace yourself. Like, there are some people have that are benefited the opportunity to dive right in, and then there's others of us that have to take it slowly and gauge our risk level, you know, based off of that fear. Like you said, it is fear. And I think that fear is rooted in shame. Um, Shame based off of the perceptions of other people or the people that we care about, and not wanting to disappoint them or not wanting to lose our job. But um, that, yeah, I think that we can start by getting our feet wet and figuring out um, what is safe for us, and then also building relationships with people that make us feel safe, I think, is important. Like, if I didn't have people like you or other people that I follow online, because like there's not too many. There's some kinky people out here in Denver, but not who do it like full time all the time. I usually gravitate to online to find those people. But like, if I didn't have that, like, I would be much more closeted with my leather and with my kink, which is kind of weird to think now, because I when I moved up here, like when I finally left the small town, that's when I allowed myself the opportunity to dive in 100% and like not look back. Which, even now, like, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. I'll wrap up
Oh,
this in a
you're all
minute.
good.
But I find it, I don't want to say that it's biting me in the ass now, but I'm hitting another crossroads where I have to check myself and see, is this safe for me to be this way 100% of the time like I have been? You know, are other people going to look at me and judge me and criticize me now while I'm trying to change my life than I was afforded the ability previously? So it's not just a narrow, it's not a linear path that you go from being shy and coy and then diving into leather and then being your full leather self. It, like, there's an ebb and flow, kind of like coming out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I noticed when you were first talking about it, you said your descent into leather, but I think of it more of like an ascension, like I'm becoming my
Oh,
full self, like growing into it.
yes, I love that. Like, okay, let's like put a positive spin on it. Yeah, like, I'm like, I guess I pictured it as like my descent into the dark world and like getting into this kink
Like
and like
the Lil Nas X
deviation.
homophobe
Yeah.
on his way to, yeah.
We got some comments. I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything. Oh, Lone Star Pup 2022 heading to IPTC at the end of the month.
Woo!
International Pup and Trainer Contest. Yes. Like,
I'm
there's so
That's
many contests to
awesome news.
learn. There's so many things. Lou, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Handler Sparky says, I'll be in Denver in May for Colorado Leatherfest. Yes, I am. I'm running. I'm running.
Okay, I
Um,
will wait in
yes,
May.
in
When in
May.
May?
May the 20. I think, well, I want to say it's the 21st to the 23rd, but don't quote me on
I'm
that.
so
I have to
sorry.
look it up.
It's
Um,
DC.
but Brian says, Hold on, Brian. I'm going to pull up your comment. Visibility is hard because if they don't see us, then they don't learn, but it leaves us open to being attacked. I suppose a knife needs a leather strap to sharpen against. That's very true. Visibility is hard because if they don't see us, they don't learn. But it leaves us open. It does leave us susceptible to other people's words and opinions and suggestions, and um, that's challenging for sure. Um,
Absolutely.
Y'all, if you have questions or comments or things that you want us to speak on, this is your chance. This is an open forum. We are taking your hot takes, your hot questions.
Yeah, hot
Um,
takes, hot questions, hot
yeah,
box.
hot bottoms and tops. We're taking them too. Switches as well.
I was like, am I invited?
Mm, I love that. Brian says, like iron sharpening iron. We only grow our out of our adversity and having something. Sorry, that had just has to move out of my way. And having something to sharpen against. Yes.
So sorry, I just opened the live stream and
I
another
know. I'm like, how am I hearing myself? That's crazy. Um,
because it's a mess.
yes. No, it is. It is something that we have to repeatedly do. And I know that every time that I go out in leather, I don't know if you feel this way, but like a part of my journey is still getting comfortable in wearing leather. Like I'm okay when I get to the bar or to the event or wherever I'm heading, but the journey there, getting into my car, walking up to the building, being seen by the normies, still makes me feel slightly uncomfortable because I'm wondering if they're judging me or if they're going to do something or they're going to say something, and I need to mentally be prepared for that interaction. And do you ever feel that?
Um, I feel the fear of like because there's always the fear of getting hate crimed, but I feel like as a femme presenting person, we can get away with wearing more wild stuff, and people are just like, "Oh, it's edgy girl." Um, instead of
Mm.
like on a masculine person, like that's very clearly BDSM gear, but on me, I could just be like Taylor Swift wearing a leather harness and no one would know.
I love.
But
Okay,
also, I dress very outlandishly all the time and have since I was like in middle school. So I'm very used to people like doing the double take.
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about how identity changes our experience in leather, because it does for like
Absolutely.
absolutely. I know, like we've talked about this. One of the things that we did together in at Rocky Mountain Rebellion was talk had the queer, what's the word?
Caucus.
The queer caucus, yes. And we talked about the intersectionality of sexuality, gender expression, race, and leather. And it, it it never hit me quite that hard until that moment that I was like, oh, this really does impact the way that I portray myself or the way that I feel like I am seen within the community. So whereas you feel like maybe because you're, female presenting that, you may not get so many side eyes, I feel like my gender expression in this is like I'm trying to be the most masculine presenting in my leather as possible. And if I'm not achieving that, then I'm not doing a good job.
That is really interesting. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of like the connotations of leather being such like a macho experience, such as like Tom of Finland portraying his art?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is like I think it's the portrayal and depiction of what it means to be a Leatherman, and the first thing that always comes to mind is those Tom of Finland images of the hyper masculine men, chiseled bodies, whatever, facial hair, this that, and the other. And if I'm not achieving that, part of my conundrum as Charlie stated earlier this evening, was like I was debating between. I have three hats here. I've got this hat. I've got this hat. I've got this hat. I've got, and I'm like, oh my god, what hat am I supposed to wear for this fucking live stream? Because I don't know how I'm going to be perceived and if people are going to buy in to what I'm putting out. Like, if I wear the New York cap, like, are people going to see me as a dominant, or are they going to think I'm a poser? You know, are they going to like suss me out, like, and say, "Oh, you're a bottom. You can't wear that." So should I wear one of these other hats? And you know, yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah, it is. I think I definitely fear like being perceived as a woman, not because I have anything against women. Happy International Women's Month. Um,
Yeah,
but
happy
because
National Women's Month. Yeah, that is today
I have
or
spent
yesterday.
so much of my life trying to get away from the label of being a woman because I know that I'm not. And I think it's hard for other people to look at me and be like, well, you get your nails done, you get your lips done, like you wear like big breasts, you have lashes, like you lean into so much of the feminine things, what makes you what makes you not a woman? And it's hard to explain that to someone who's never really experienced that because I think I mentioned this to you briefly at RMR, but like the way I like the people I'm attracted to, the communities that I fit in, I'm very much like closer to the all male side of things, but I look like Barbie. So it's hard. I'll be like, "Hello, fellow men," and then look like this.
Yeah, yeah, and as a non-binary person as well, it really fucks with and I had mentioned this at the queer caucus, is like it really fucks with me feeling like, oh, I'm not non-binary enough. That when I put on the leather, um when I put on leather and I'm portraying a certain image, I'm no longer non-binary. I don't have a choice in being non-binary. Like, I am like a man, and like, if it's one thing that you can say to me that like makes me cringe is calling me a man. Like, I don't like, call me anything else, but don't call me a man. But like, that's when things turn. Like, I have a picture of me in my full leather formals on Grinder, and people immediately like, "Thank you, sir," or "You look so good, sir," or this, that, and the other, sir. Like, and I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable with this. And so, although I'm expressing myself in a way that I want to, I must be expressing myself in a way that's also detrimental to my gender identity. And it's a mind fuck.
I told you it's getting comfortable with wearing somebody else's skin.
Yes. Oh.
There it is. We are getting some comments. I want to make sure we.
Yeah. Let's go back, and I'm gonna um Casey. Hi, Casey. Um oh, Miss, oh my god, Miss J. Hey.
Oh, hello, hello. I haven't.
Hello. Okay. So apparently, first weekend in May is Colorado Leather Fest. I should know this.
First
Um,
weekend?
First weekend.
Okay,
Let me
I'll make
double check. I'm Colorado Leather
her both all like. When is it?
Fest. Um, it is. It is May 5th through the 7th. Why was that? I think I'm thinking of last year's, but um, Casey, you had a question. Casey's question was, when was the first time you decided to get into leather?
I think for me, it was shortly after like I joined the BDSM scene. I was like, this is fun. I want to know how I can like make this like I can help other people feel this way. So I was like, okay, well maybe the first thing I did is I started taking classes and I was like, I need to learn more so that I can help more people. And then I was like, just small roles that I could do, like help cleaning up, help setting up, help finding people, posting stuff. And then you kind of just keep going and going, and you meet more people, and they offer you amazing opportunities, and you get to keep doing new things. And it was kind of just like a somersault down a hill. Now we're here.
Yeah, for me, my first time in leather was going back to like buying that harness. And that was maybe 2017. So not even that long ago. It's been 6 years. 6 years for me, and it was just having that one piece. And I still have that harness, and thankfully it still fits. But it was a yellow harness that I bought online somewhere. I don't even remember. And that, like, I was so naive that I didn't realize that I was flagging water sports. And somebody had asked me like, "Oh, like you ready for my piss or something like that?" Like something like very forward. And I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "How did you know that that was my kink?" And they're like, "You're wearing a yellow
You're right
harness."
on there.
Like, but I didn't know. Like nobody was there to educate me, nobody there was to instruct me. Like I was just on my own figuring things out as I go. But like you, as time progressed, like I just threw myself into more and more things like education and experience and events and whatever. But it has not been a long time for me at all.
Yeah, I think we joined the same year actually.
Oh shit. Yeah, I'm down with that. That's so fun. Um, Handler Sparky says, be your authentic self, which might change at different times. That's true. I went from full leather to less and who I am now. That's exactly what I'm like experiencing right now is that like I've been able to have this really robust leather like forward life that now like because my life situation is changing, I'm having to shift gears and figuring out like what how much can I present and still be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I run into that a lot, like, because I'm so young, I'm always thinking of, like, what does this mean for the future? Like, what are you gonna tell your children when they ask you why the word slave is tattooed on you? Like, what does that really mean to you, and how are you gonna
Mm.
explain that to the next generation?
Is that one of your tattoos?
Yeah, so my girlfriend and I have matching tattoos that say "Sister Slaves."
Oh, I did not know that. I learned something new about you today. Okay, so yeah, there. I mean, and there. I mean, I totally get that. Like with some other things that aren't so prominent, but like when I share certain things, it's like, oh, how could you, you know, how could you
Yeah,
do that?
like,
Like,
now you're
why would you
just
do that?
on the internet one day? Like, probably. But like, you got to be prepared to have these conversations. Or do you even want kids? Like, my involvement in the community has really affected the way that I feel about starting a family, because now I'm like, the BDSM community is my family, and it can take up just as much time and energy as a family. And right now, I am so fulfilled pouring that energy into this that I'm like, maybe I don't want kids.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Um, Casey says, Charlie, you have such an eccentric vibe. Heart. Yes.
Ew.
Brian says, I lean into the uncomfortability. As a pup, it's a whole different set of criticism or misunderstanding. Regardless, it can, you can't, hold on. Sorry, they don't stay up that long. Um, Come on, come back. Regardless, you can't contain this, and so I lean into it. Helps make me stronger. Cute Kelly Clarkson. Um, all I can hope is that I inspire the same confidence in others. So I get. Kenny says, okay, so here's a different take on the pup. I get tired of in the pup world. If you're an alpha, you're a top, you're a beta, you're a bottom, or more submissive. That's like very pet specific, but that is there is like similarities between leather. Like if I wear if I wear this hat, then I'm a top, you know? If I wear if I wear this hat, then I'm a bottom, you know?
I think that's a very interesting take on like how much do you nod to like the traditional wear and how much do you respect with those honors and traditions as opposed to making your own way because like someone mentioned being your authentic self is the main thing about leather. So if being my authentic self means I'm a bottom but I have a master's cap, like how does that have the rest of the community perceive me?
I I wonder, let's explore that for a minute because I think that's interesting. I think um so the reason why I gravitated to leather was because I felt that the protocol was more upheld and respected and still tangible in ways than in the pet community. And we're both pets, right? Like, I honestly feel, and I know that there's a lot of pups watching, so don't crucify me when I say this. I've had a major falling out with the pup community because I feel as if it's a free for all. Protocol has gone completely out of the window. The structure of respect and even communication styles no longer exists, and I was looking for more guidance and more stability and more structure. And so I was seeing that more in the leather community than I was seeing in the pup community. Like, yes, there's infrastructures within the pup community, but it's so loose in today's climate that it's almost borderline pet anarchy, which works for a lot of people. And I think that that kind of anarchy breeds acceptance for a lot of people, like for anybody to join. And it prevents gatekeeping from happening, which is a beautiful thing. And pet play being so accessible now is a wonderful thing. But for those of us who are looking for structure and looking for protocol and looking for, you know, X, Y, and Z, like that's where I find it in leather more than I do in the pet space.
That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I think like the protocol is also something that drew me to the leather scene as well. Um because it has well, it does have like the casualness of like just your buds hanging at a bar. It also has that structure that you kind of miss in a lot of communities. And I think I don't feel it as much from the pet community, but I do feel like the lack of protocol in the swinger community where I am a lot. Um, where like I'll go to a BDSM event and have like no problems with anyone, but when I go to a swinger event, I feel like on edge preemptively because I feel like there's no rules, there's no set way to act. Uh, like if I'm wearing a collar and following somebody around at a BDSM event, no one's just gonna grab me by the arm and be like, "You want to fuck right now?" But if I'm wearing a collar at a swinger event, like they'll probably just walk up to me, grab the collar, and be like, "Hey, you want to fuck right now?"
Yeah. Same in the pet space. Like for me, I've had so many people grab my collar at pup events versus like leather events where it's like, oh, they ask me, who do you belong to, somebody or whatever. There is a key. There's some key differences in those communities. We do have a question. I don't want to like. I want to get to everybody's question. So,
I think you're getting
um,
comments than I am. Like I'm definitely missing some of the ones you're.
um, Lonel, thank you so much for joining our live stream. I appreciate it. Lonel asks, "How have you navigated BDSM slash leather, the BDSM slash leather lifestyle as a person of color?"
That has been my answer to that is like always changing, because at first I was just the new person who was like the new bottom. I mean, you get pegged to the bottom and everyone's going to be like, oh, new shiny toy, like pass them around and stuff. And so my identity as a person of color almost didn't come to the forefront until I started organizing and leading things, and then it became more of a thing because then once you step into the public light, everything you do and are and say gets questioned. And so, like, I've had pushback from other people of color. I've had pushback from white people about things that you should not be getting pushback on. I have had times where I need to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up because, like, somebody from a more oppressed group is speaking. Um, but honestly, the amount of fetishization of being a black person in the community is appalling. Like, I think I always do polls on my Instagram just to like boost engagement. And one of the things I get asked all the time is, are you into race play? And I know you and I have talked about race play at length. And like I've come full 180 on it. And now I'm like, yes, like, I think my grasp and me becoming more comfortable as a person of color has changed how I feel about race play, because I now know when somebody questions my blackness, I know like how to respond to that and what I actually believe about my blackness and how I can explain that to others.
Yeah. I parallel that. Like I feel like there's oftentimes where I'm assessing, am I being challenged or am I being questioned because of my experience in leather or BDSM? Or is it because they don't perceive me as somebody in that role because of my race?
Yeah,
Or am I being fetishized because of my race? Or when I don't want them to, because I'm also like, I practice race play and I find it enjoyable when it's done on my terms and within the confines of the play structure that I set with partners. But any other time, like the moment that you call me Poppy, like I'm not consenting to that. Like you're triggering me, and like, oh, like that. But that's what certain people want. They see me in like the leather get up, and they're like, oh, I want this Latin Poppy to dominate me, and I'm like, I'm not about that shit right now.
I
So
get that a lot with the black goddess stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Like,
ugh,
I
so cringe.
I am a switch. I can top for a lot of things. I can top for that. I don't get any. I think a lot of times people can be so into something that they don't see how you're not into it. Like, well, you look exactly like a black goddess. Like, how could you not? And I'm like, I I'm not by any means titles, not titles, but labels are very important to me. I know some people are like, do away with labels, like they're only chains, they're boxes. And but for me, with my autism, labels are gimme, gimme. I want all the labels possible. I love being able to describe who I am and what I'm feeling to other people. So to me, it's like I'm not shackling myself with these labels, but I am, I can top. I am not a goddess. I don't, like, I be sniffing pits and drinking piss for fun. Like, that is not behavior. I'm a raunchy pig. Please don't call me goddess.
I am the goddess of fermentation. Oh gosh. Um, Miss J brings up a really good point, because like they say I've been very disappointed with people making room for indigenous voices, and I'm assuming that like not making enough space for indigenous voices in the community. Like Miss J, am I getting that right? Like
I can actually, I saw Miss J's post about that earlier today.
I did
And
too.
that's what I was referring to when saying I need to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up sometimes, is because people would love to put me, a loud black person, in a spokesperson in a spokesplace before an indigenous person, when really there are more black voices to be heard than there are indigenous people, especially in our community. So we really
Right.
need to be uplifting indigenous voices.
And people police, I mean, I think that people police like all races, like, oh, you're not Asian enough, or you're not black enough, or you're not indigenous enough. But like you said, it's a numbers game, right? Where there's not enough indigenous, like there's not very many indigenous voices, or we're being tricked into the perception that there aren't very many indigenous voices that enjoy kink and BDSM because they're
Because
not given the visibility,
yes.
you know. um it's like painting a picture of who is kinky, and that's like going back to like the depiction of like how a leather person looks. Like most of those depictions are of either white men or highly fetishized black men as well. You know,
Absolutely.
that's what the love. At least I would say in the gay community, it's you're either white or occasionally you're black, but you know any other pigment in between like is non-existent. Latino people are probably third, and then fourth it's Asian people, but you don't see depictions of indigenous people in the leather scene whatsoever in the gay community. I'd say that.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's real bad. It's
It's
I
that's something to be said. It's bad. And so like how can we like so then I'm going to carry this back into like the leather conversation. How can we, as like me being a prospective title holder and you being an active title holder, create space for these voices that need to be heard?
just stuff like this. Like I saw on Miss J's post today that they had been denied a like spot for presenting their very useful materials. So if you see somebody who has had their right to speak denied and you have the means to give them a platform, absolutely do it.
And I'm gonna double down on that and say like, because
But
Miss J and I did talk at RMR, and I said I wanted them to be on my live stream. So Miss J, will you be on my live stream? Will you be on my live stream? Anyways, future topic. Let's get back to the conversation. We can talk about that in private. Um, let's see. I want to go back through the comments here. Give me a minute, y'all. Um, let's see. Da-da-da-da. Brian and Kenny, I see your comments. Oh, Kenny. Kenny is 2023 Michigan trainer. Hello. We got some title holders up in this.
yeah, title holders
We've
in
got
that.
some title holders up in this. I love it. Um, let's see. Do scrolling through. Oh yes. Wow, Kenny, you've been in the leather for 17 years and in pup play for about 15 years. I'm sure that you've seen quite a lot of change, quite a lot of change in the community, and like it's good to see. I think it's good to see that change. I'm fearful. Here's what I think. I think change in the leather community is going to be slower than it is in other segments of the overall kink and fetish slash BDSM community. And I always say that it's due to accessibility. Like a neoprene pup hood you can get for $20 on Amazon, right? Like rope you can get pretty inexpensive online or through a local sex shop, right? Um, Rubber is probably one of those that's also really inaccessible to get into because it's so expensive. Leather's inaccessible because it's expensive to get into. And even though community members are saying, hey, you don't need to have rubber, or hey, you don't need to have leather to be a part of this community. There is still that perceived gatekeeping that happens when you do not have those things, or how much of those things.
Very fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
I think um I think one of the things that I found to be inaccessible was pony play. Like you
Mm.
don't like you said, you can get on Amazon and order a pair of ears now, and I'm like, I can be a kitten now, I can be a pup now. But getting into pony play is some of the most shit's more like my pony play gear costed more than both of my bio horses put together.
Oh,
Like
wow.
that's talk about inaccessibility, and it really is because you're paying for such a niche, high quality item. But honestly, like to be uh to have pony play be what got me into BDSM, and then to like other than owning a bit gag, not having any pony gear until like this year was it says something.
Mm-hmm. Right. um I'm trying to like understand your comment, Kenny. I have the leather event this week and have to shine up some boots. Is there a leather event this week? I'm assuming. I'm guessing there's a leather event this
There's
week.
like four.
There's always something going on, and I'm missing half of them. But like,
Yeah.
I think the next event that I have on my schedule that I absolutely am 100% going to is Dory, which is more of like fetish, you know, Dory Alley, and then I would love to go to the International Pup and Handlers Weekend, IPA. So, but we'll see if that's like on my radar. Like, what events are you doing this year?
Me, so let's see. I'm trying to make it to Kinkfest, and then I've got South Plains. I've got Thrive, even though that's online. I've got Midwest, and then I've got Wisconsin Leatherfest as well.
And Colorado Leatherfest. We cannot forget Colorado Leatherfest. You have to.
Was it the first weekend?
It is the first weekend. It is the first weekend. In. So for those who don't know, I am running for Mr. Colorado Leather in May. I'm finishing up my application right now, and we'll see what happens. I'm very like I was very so two. I had two different experiences. I had the RMR experience where I watched you do it and I saw how prepared you were and the team of people that you had surrounding you, your supporters. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have this. What am I going to do? And it was a beautiful thing to see how people riled up like and supported you and like and how you just knew your shit. I was taken away by that. And then I went to MAL, Mid Atlantic Leather, in January, and it was so casual in the way that it was done. I feel like RMR was like way more intense, like the competition. That process was way more intense than MAL, and MAL was like humongous. Like it was very interesting. So I have no idea of what to expect for Colorado like Leatherfest. That I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
So do you have a handling team at all yet?
No, I mean, I have people that I talk to about like, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are your thoughts? Like my friend Hunter and my friend Chris. But like, and so if I needed to like rope some people into like a team, they would be the first two that I would pick. But I don't have like I'm not in that like preparation stage yet, and I'm worried like maybe I should be in that preparation stage like right now because it's only like 2 months away.
You've got some time. And if you want, yeah. What Adam says is definitely true. If you definitely need a handler, at least one handler. I was blessed with the world's best handler in the world. Um, but yeah, definitely get a handler. That's person's gonna like get you where you need to be. They're gonna be like, you need food, eat this, or oh, you
Yes.
have a jolly. This is literally something that you have a Jolly Rancher stuck to your formal leather pants. Let me
Oh my
help
God.
you.
I will do that. And I think I have
With
somebody in
Charlie
mind for it.
fingers go off. Let's super glue it back on.
Um, Adam. Oh, Adam.
Yeah, the day of the reunion.
Oh my God. Okay. Like, I want to get back to the questions that are in the comments. So, hold on. Y'all are commenting a lot. So,
We love that though. We love that. We love
yeah, we
engagement.
do love that. Thoughts about public vanilla. Thoughts about public vanilla perception of leather versus internal new perceptions of leather. Here's personally, here's what I think. Vanilla thoughts don't even impact me. Um, because I feel like they're completely miseducated. They're going to think whatever they think based off of their personal experience and life perception, and it just doesn't hold any weight. So I'm less likely to give it any attention. When the opinion is coming from somebody from within the community, and I think of it as like more of like old school, new school perceptions of leather. Like new school perceptions of leather don't impact me because I also feel like hey, they're new to this, and they're making it up as they go, which is their right to do. But old school like mentalities around leather like shake me to my core. Like when I was first started this live stream, I was wearing a harness, and like the straps, I was this is what I've been told, right? And now it's ingrained in my head. The straps face forward. But in my live stream, the straps were facing backwards, and somebody clocked me for it. And it like has haunted me to this day. So I always make sure that my straps face forward. And I like, yeah,
That is, yeah. I definitely called. Um, I definitely called my friend and was like, "Hey, so, no one ever told me like where am I supposed to wear the sash? Like, do I wear the sash to the live stream? Do I wear the sash to this convention? Like, what am I supposed to like be doing here? Because there really is no. I mean, there's tons of books. There's lots of information out there. But anyway, anyone that tells you that there is one true way probably doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
yeah. And we can agree to that, but then there's something that like that just strikes you to your core about when people have I'm talking for myself. Like there's something that strikes me to my core when someone is like that's not the way that it's supposed to be worn or the way that it's supposed to be done. Like I bought this cap, right? And
Hmm.
I was told promptly after I bought it that that should never be purchased, it should be gifted. And now I feel subconscious when I wear it, you know?
Absolutely. I definitely get that.
And
Like
I'm trying
there's
to like tell myself like no, this is okay. Like not everybody has the luxury of having a mentor or a guide or a dom, gift them things, you know. I think I only have two pieces of gifted leather, and as a boy, I'm supposed to have all my leather gifted to me. Like I would have nothing, you know.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I have one piece of gifted leather. It was my first leather ever, which the title holder before me actually gave. And if you got to see them, you remember PA on stage, they had like the red trim that was
Yes.
made from the same outfit of the vest that they gave me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I I have heard like yeah, technically I have earned one piece of leather other than my sash, and it was this tie. But other than that, I bought all of my leather because I love the feeling of leather on me. I have very sensitive skin. Even latex makes me break out. So leather, like having something that I can feel powerful and sexy in that doesn't irritate my skin, really makes me like gets me going. And then also just like the feeling of leather on my skin is a fetish to me all in of its own. Like
Yeah.
if somebody was to be like, "Hey, let's put on all our leather and fuck," like, oh god, oh,
Oh
nothing would be hotter to me.
yes.
um and then like you kind of be like, well, what gives you the right to wear leather? And I'm like, well, non-kinky people don't feel this way when like leather touches their dick, you don't get hard. But like
Yeah.
for me it does, so I'm gonna wear it.
Exactly. Casey. Casey asks, or says, I've always wanted to experience getting my first pup mask, but my insecurities get the best of me, and I feel like I can't, or can I pull it off and not get shamed for it? So this is more of like in regards, but I feel like any like this coincides with you just said. Um, like when people ask you, well, what gives you the right to wear that? Um, and really, it's we give ourselves permission to wear what we want to feel how we want to feel. I think, you know, when I got my first pup hood, like I bought it off of Amazon, and even though I felt more like a pup, I still felt a little imposter syndrome because like it wasn't a Mr. Bear or it wasn't a Mr. S leather or it wasn't like one of these high end hoods. Um, but like it made me feel more of like a pet than not having it, you know. But you don't need gear to be a part of these communities, and I think that we really need to because there like you said earlier, there's so many capacities where you can fill in if you do not have gear, right? like like if you don't own leather, you can learn to be a boot black, right, and help other people with their leather. Or
Which is a rewarding experience.
oh, I like
Like learning leather care has been one of the most satisfying things for me. Because like a now you get to touch leather, haha. But also just being able to care for the leather that I was given, and knowing that like it's not going to disintegrate underneath my touch now. I know how to keep it hydrated and stuff, and being able to show others like, hey, like I see your boots are getting a little scuffed up. Do you want me to show you how to take care of that?
right. Yeah. There's so many there's a capacity for everyone within each community. Like um if you want to be a pup and you don't have the gear, you can still go out to pup events and mosh with the other pups or play with the other pups. Um, like if you want to just dip your toes in, try being a handler, like and learn from other handlers, and you don't need pup gear for that. Like there's different things that you can do. 100%. So let me straps in the front, but oh wait, Adam says straps in the front. Do the buckles don't dig in to the piggy swing. What? Straps in the front. Do the buckles don't dig into
I
the
think
piggy
I think
strings?
you meant sew instead of do.
Oh.
So don't dig in.
So that makes sense. Okay. Oh, yes. Preach. Don't get me started on the Muir cap. Cap crap. It never started like that. Like, I want to know how it started. I want to know how it started. Also, um, leather is so expensive, insane to assume that it should be gifted. Yeah, like I've gifted more leather in the time that I've had it than I've been gifted to.
Oh,
But like I don't expect that to be everyone's story because leather is so expensive. This this baseball cap was, oh, I'm not wearing the baseball cap.
you're like, what is
Sorry, I've
this?
had I've had wine. So I started off with the baseball cap. Um but this was like easily $100.
Oh yeah, yeah. This tie was like $70.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. Like
It
like
is
how
ridiculous.
and to expect your dominant or the person who's mentoring you to be the same size as you to be able to gift their leather to you is kind of ridiculous.
Well, I always thought it was now you're going to learn how to alter leather, which is another
Oh,
useful. Um, I mean,
like,
I was telling you today, I've had all of this outfit altered to the point that like I had to cut the darts out of the skirt to get the zipper to zip up today.
but the machinery that takes to sew leather, like, you can't just get a normal sewing machine and be like, okay, I'm going to sew my leather. Like, no.
You can punch it yourself and hand sew it is what I've had to do sometimes. But yeah, a leather sewing machine, not fun.
Yeah,
Not.
no.
I've, I've busted my thumb with one of those needles, and it was. I will
Oh,
remember that forever.
what leather sugar daddy's giving me a full cow outfit? Yeah, I would love to know. Like, yeah, I need a sugar daddy, like a leather sugar daddy. When I got
I
into
just need a
pup
leather
play,
daddy, actually.
when I got into pup play, there were almost no pups around and almost no hoods at all. Oh, so that's another way. Like, so Kenny has been in pup play for the past 15 years. So it's changed so much that, and not to like get stuck on pup play, but um, like at one time the social acceptance was no gear to now it's expected gear. You know?
Yeah, I feel like when I was trying to get into pony play, there was like one option for like pony play shoes, and now you can find heelless heels like on Amazon. But I remember like scouring the internet for hours, and there was only like one person doing it. They were thousands of dollars. Like, and I remember being like, I will never have this.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
still don't have the shoes. Actually, I did just get on Amazon and buy a pair of heelless heels, to be honest with you.
Um, I want to get to Adam's question about pride. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that I have this correct. And ways to preserve leather culture as pride is hijacked by more and more capitalist propaganda erasure um, of BDSM in the queer community. So I believe, Adam, yeah, I believe the
I
question is
had
in regards to like how do we preserve leather culture when so much of pride is being commercialized, right?
I
What are
think
your
a lot
thoughts
of
on that?
people,
I have a lot of thoughts, but I've been
I've
a
got
chatty.
so many thoughts. I think we've actually talked about it before, but the fact that people are trying to make Pride like this family-friendly PG, maybe even G event is just mind-boggling to me. Like Pride was a riot. If I want to wear like my strap-on harness to Pride, I'm going to come because at the beginning, before people realized that some sexualities and gender expressions were just that, they thought they were just sexual deviance. And so I feel like it's almost paying homage to those that came before us by being like, yeah, uh, I do I do these things. I am kinky, and I shouldn't have to hide that to go to Pride, the celebration that was started by kinky motherfuckers and sex workers and trans women and just have it be like, oh, put your rainbow shirt on. Like, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Chase
it's
bang.
definitely, yeah, I don't know if you see it this way, but we're getting a lot of pushback from the younger generation that I I believe the intention there is we have come to a point in time where we no longer have to this is this is the perception. This is not what I'm saying is true. I don't because I don't believe this. The perception is we've come to a place where we have gained equal rights and we are equal in the minds of our counterparts, and therefore we do not need to display this deviant side of ourselves because it's just ostracizing ourselves or it's pinpointing our differences. And I think that's bullshit. I think there's historical meaning, but behind showing up in leather or showing up in kink gear, I believe that there is a responsibility with that, though. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think that's what's getting lost in context. Like, it's our responsibility to make sure that, hey, like, there's a certain space where you like pride is sexualized, like Folsom, Dory, that would be an appropriate venue for that. Your general gay pride, probably don't go fuck in the middle of the street, but feel free to wear your kink gear out and celebrate yourselves and celebrate and create visibility for the community, right? And I
Yes.
think that people are hyper focusing on kink being sexualized than they are thinking about its place in a historical context.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Aztec watch. And what's wrong with being deviant? I don't think there's
Absolutely.
anything wrong with being deviant. I think there's nothing wrong with being deviant at all. I think that I it's a tricky spot to be in because it's like I don't know how
To
to
be
word this.
honest, like, it shocks me to my core when people are like, "I had vanilla sex and got off." Like, if I'm not, like, boot on my neck, gun to my head, like, I'm not gonna come. Like, I need and for me, like, as a femme presenting Black person, like, our sexuality is erased so often because, like, we're either over sexualized or, "Oh, you're Black, there's no way you could be into kink." Like you were saying, like, how you don't see a representation of Indigenous or even Latino people in, like, queer culture, and I'm like, "Hey, man, like, I'm Black, I'm a slave, I drink piss, I want people to know that they're not alone, like, we're out here."
Right. Right. And there's an even bigger conversation to be had about that. There is the silence of communities of color within this conversation. I think that we've been having this conversation from a kink perspective, but what we haven't been having is the conversation from the cultural perspective. So I wonder what the conversation would look like if, like, hypothetically, if I got a bunch of Latino male presenting people to join me in this forum, what would they say about kink versus kink people speaking about their experiences as a person of color? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I think it would be wild the discourse that would come from that, only because you can't eliminate the extreme um, push of Christianity on people of color in order to be good citizens. You can't escape the economic oppression of people of color. You cannot escape the lack of political power of people of color. Like, all those things play into their perception, and wanting to be the extreme desire to be a model minority, and like, I'm not like the rest of them. I'm not like that. I'm not deviant. I'm not this. Like, I'm just a normal person. Assimilation Like you can't ignore those conversations too. So
Absolutely.
damn, we're getting deep. We're at a minute and 20, oh, like a minute, an hour and 24. So we're gonna keep this live stream running for the next 5 minutes now. Like we're at the 5 minute mark. So if you have any questions, pop them into the comment box, and we'll try to get to them. Like this is gonna be speed answer round. You ready for this?
Lightning round, let's go.
Lightning round. Let's go. I agree with Donnie. Being normal is so overrated.
Absolutely. Fuck being normal. I'm so much cooler than being normal. I'm glad I got better.
Oh, Aztec says, I admit, um, oh, I want to pop this one up real bad. Um, I admit in my younger years, I was fetishized by the predominantly white leather community. Yeah, it happens 100%. Favorite color, go.
Color of your taint, Adam.
What? That one caught me off guard. Yellow is my favorite color. I'm a little bit more basic.
My
Um,
actual favorite color is gold, but
oh, really? Gold. Okay. Well, jot
you
that
would
down.
think it was pink, but it's not.
I would think it was, yeah, I would have thought it was pink, but my favorite color is yellow, and it's not because of piss. It's just like
Because
dandelions. Yeah, it's because it's so pink and soft. Oh my god, y'all, stop! Hold on, my mind's going places. My god, so it's gold.
I'm
It's
sorry,
gold.
we've been separated for a long time, so we're going feral.
Oh my gosh. All right, speed round, y'all. I know, I see y'all watching. We got people from the Twitters and the Facebooks and whatever watching. So speed round. We have exactly 3 minutes left. Charlie, while we're waiting for any sort of last minute question, is there anything that you want to promote or educate people about that's going on in your neck of the woods?
Absolutely nothing is going on in my neck of the woods. However, I would say to everyone in this live stream, please, please, please sign up for Thrive. Like I said before, it's online, it's free, and it's all about mental health in the BDSM scene. We've got like panels for tops and bottoms with mental disorders and disabilities. I would love to see all of you there.
That's awesome. And I will get the link and post it on the Facebook page. We'll get that done. Donnie asks favorite band.
My Chemical Romance.
Oh my god, I love My Chemical Romance.
Which is how we met for the first time as I was going to their concert.
Yes, that's true. That is
Yes,
true.
that was such a fun night. Thank you for that. I had a great
My
time.
favorite band has to be like if we're talking about bands. Um, right now, it's currently the Brothers Osborne.
Ooh,
Um,
nice.
favorite piece of leather that you own. Oh yes, you better share that.
Technically, I
Yes,
don't own it because I will have to give it away eventually, but it is the thing that I'm most proud of.
yes. I mean, and you should be 100%. You should be proud of that. That was like, I'm so glad that I could be there to witness it. Um, my
I'm
favorite
excited.
piece. Oh,
Adam
my
and I will hit the road for your convention.
yeah, yeah. You better show up in that too.
Gang's
Yes.
all.
My favorite piece of leather are my gloves, to be
Ooh,
honest.
I love
Um,
so.
and favorite body piercing.
Like that I have because I don't have that many.
So my favorite body piercing is a PA. I don't have one, but I think I'm gonna get one. I'm like 90% sure.
I really like the idea of nipples, but I don't think I will do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. Um, favorite kink of all time.
Pain.
Mm, mm. It's got to be public cruising.
Ooh,
Public
good shit.
cruising. Yeah. Um, let's see. Starburst or Charlie Ranchers?
Adam answered mine for
I would actually choose Star. You know what's funny is like I would choose Starburst, but I almost died on a Starburst one time. I choked on it. But the
me.
Jolly Rancher thing is just fucking
Much
hilarious.
bigger than a starburst in your throat, so why were you choking on that?
Well, I was new to the state. I was 14 years old. I was new to the state. I didn't realize how much the elevation would have an impact on me because I went from
Okay.
being like in Kansas to then being at like 9,000 feet. And I was having a hard time swallowing and I choked on a starburst. So that's how that
Very
happened.
valid, very valid.
Last question. Underwear of choice.
Um, I have recently discovered men's thongs, and that's my favorite thing in the
Ooh.
world.
Okay.
They've got like a little pouch for your stuff, and I no, I love it. It's great because like I got a fat ass pussy, all right. So like it's Victoria's Secret and stripper shit don't be fitting. But I was
No.
running late to work at the
No.
club, and I was
Oh my
like, I
God.
went to my husband, and I was like, "Can I have one of your thongs?" And I put it on, and I was like,
Oh my God. I love you so much.
I love you
Like I
too.
would have no, I try to wear thongs and they're just very uncomfortable for me, but underwear of choice would have to be actually just like regular briefs because they're just so comfortable. I mean, I wear a jock strap almost every single day, but regular briefs when you find the right cut and the right fit, it's like perfect. Regular beach. So, all right, Charlie, that's it for tonight. I appreciate you. Firstly, I want to thank everybody who's taking the time to watch this live stream and join us and just be a part of the conversation. Um, there are so many other kink creators that you could be watching, but you took the time to watch us and just have a conversation with us. So I want to thank our audience first and foremost. And then I want to thank you, Charlie, so much for being like, let's do this thing and, coming on the live stream and talking about your experience, which is super important to share. I wish you the best title year and I
Thank
hope to see
you.
you
See you
come
in
May.
May. Yeah, we'll be out there. We'll come turn up for you.
All right, sounds good. All right, everybody. The next live stream will hopefully be in about 2 weeks. We'll see you there with so stay tuned for notifications about topics. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube or on Twitter or here on Facebook, it's whatever the URL is /the Make sure you follow. And until next time, aroo.
Bye.